Welcome, everybody, to another Zoom meeting of the Healing Cooperative. Very excited today to have Nicolle Kopping-Pavars as our speaker, and she's going to be presenting her new book. It's called Insights for Every Day Mindfulness, a self-help guide on mindfulness, providing insight to help readers establish and maintain a mindfulness practice. So Nicolle, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan. Hi, everyone. And it's such a pleasure to be sharing with you and guiding you and just allowing me to have a little bit of a say of how I got to where I am. So just a little bit about me. I'm a former family law lawyer, and I noticed right about 2016 was roughly right about then, I went through a dark stage in my life, and everyone does. It wasn't like terrible, but I just felt empty. I didn't feel like life was going the way I wanted to. I felt overwhelmed. I felt guilty about being a mom. I felt guilty about not being there for my family because I was working. At work, I felt guilty that I wasn't watching my little guy learn how to walk, and I was constantly feeling guilty and empty, and becoming very passive aggressive in my approach to my husband and my family. And I was filled with so much resentment. And I knew that this wasn't the way to live. This wasn't right. So being a lawyer, I started speaking to some of my friends and saying to them, do you feel this way? Is it normal to feel like this? And I was a sole practitioner, and almost every lawyer I spoke to as a sole practitioner said we all feel the same way. We overwhelmed, we overworked, we feel guilty all the time. We never can take a break because we either have to pay someone to take over our practice, and then we're worrying that they're going to not do something bad there. And while we're on holiday, they said we never take a break. And I thought, this can't be right. Like, it can't be right that we can all be feeling this way. So I went to the Law Society and I went into their website to see what resources are out there for lawyers. And Susan, I was there for about 2 hours. And eventually I got into the bowels of this website and I found an article which said, if you're feeling overwhelmed or emotionally fatigued, drink plenty of water, get 8 hours of sleep, go for a walk, breathe in and I thought, seriously, 2 hours of my life, and this is what I got. And I realized that there was nothing out there in particular for lawyers. And I'd already been on my self discovery journey and my personal development journey. And I had already done a Reiki level 1. So I was already kind of knowing that there was more to life than just work. But I decided that I was going to do mindfulness and introduce mindfulness to lawyers. So I found at that time they're still going. They're called Warrior One, and it's called a mindfulness in law teacher training. It was a year certification. I did that certification, and so that was about 2017, 2018. I opened up Lotus Law. But if I just go back a little bit, there was something about that teacher training that it was Zen Buddhism, and I didn't know the difference between Zen Buddhism or anything else, but there was something that didn't really resonate with me. And that's when I started teaching. My Reiki teacher was also a mindfulness teacher. She had her mindfulness teacher, Jess, because we went to Thailand together.
Right.
And I decided I'm going to go to Thailand, where I met you. And for anyone who doesn't know, Susan and I were roommates for a couple of nights as well. Yeah. And I went to Thailand, and I found that the mindfulness that they were teaching in the Thai forest tradition and the Theravada Buddhism really spoke to my heart. It really resonated with me, and it was like, okay, this makes complete sense to me. So I did a further certification through Langpur Promote in the Thai forest tradition. And I then opened up Lotus Law. So I had my law practice, which was NKP law, and then I had my side hustle, which was Lotus Law. And it kind of just jogged behind my NKP law I was doing meditation Mondays with lawyers, and I was doing mindfulness workshops and emotional intelligence workshops, and I was doing all of that. And it was then when my students, and it was funny because because people who weren't lawyers came to me and said, will you teach us? And I was like, I don't know, I'm really trained to teach lawyers. And then I thought, why? Like, stress is stress is stress. Mindfulness is mindfulness. Like, why am I making it so black and white, and this dualism of who I can teach and who I can't teach was a little bit ridiculous. But because lawyers are, I don't know what they are, they think they're different. I didn't want to have the lawyers with the non-lawyers. So I would teach lawyers on Wednesday nights, and I would teach people who weren't lawyers on Tuesday nights. And it boggled my mind how I would teach the exact same content, but you would think that it was completely different. And how the people who weren't lawyers, they were all about life, relationships. How do I cope with everyday issues? How do I cope with my mother-in-law? How do I, real relationship issues? The lawyers, it was all about work. Like, their life revolved around work and stress. And if they could get that okay, and was just really interesting to me. But that's how I came upon, started the inklings of a book, because my students came to me, more so not my law students, my other students came to me and they said, it's really great that you teach us once a week, but because I don't let people take notes in my class. I'm not teaching your intellect, I'm not teaching your brain, I'm teaching your heart. Because when you teach your intellect, then there's thinking, and let's go, what did you mean by this? And then you try to categorize what I'm saying into a particular, oh, that makes sense and this doesn't. When you teach your heart, you resonate with what the teacher is saying. And it could be that no one remembers 50% of what my lesson was, but what they do remember and what sticks with them is important for them,
Right.
because that's the wisdom that they needed in that moment. So a lot of my students came and they said, we need something that can get us from week to week, because we have your lesson, we know what we want to do, but sometimes we feel in between our practice or our mindfulness practice isn't as strong. So how can we have like little tips during the week? So I don't know about you, but if I find a quote or a story that I love, I write it down. And so I thought, wow, I've got this whole sort of written down list of all the things that resonated with me and that I loved. I thought, what if I take them and I put them into a deck? I create a deck of cards, and I'm going to have 52 cards. So one card for each week. And I'm going to intuitively pick all the quotes and stories that I've done, and I'm going to create a deck of cards. So that's what I did. I created this deck of cards. This is an open one.
Oh, wow.
And basically, so they're all shuffled now, but I created this deck of cards, and each of the deck of cards was, you can see like that. This was a little story, and I lots of stories and quotes and what's upside down. But anyway, so I created this deck of cards, and I gave it to my students. And I have to say, my husband helped me with this. We did it, but it didn't take us long to do. It was a labor of love.
Project. It's a very big project.
It was a big project, but because I already had everything set out, it was just a matter of making these cards. And maybe in my mind, it didn't take so long. Maybe it did take long, but I don't think so, because my students got them relatively quick.
Right.
And so I gave them the deck of cards to guide them from one week to the next. And they said to me, first of all, we don't do it. Some of us are doing it once a day. Like, we pick a card, and that's the card one. That's the lesson for the day. We're not waiting for a week. I said, do what you want. 1 week. I don't care how you do it, as long as you get a lesson. But then they said, sometimes we just don't get the lesson. It seems a bit cryptic to us, or maybe we're not advanced enough and we don't always get the lesson. So how can we know that we get the lesson? And then I thought, oh, that's a really good idea. And that's how the book came into being.
I see.
So what I did is I took, I'll just show you. I just took all the cards. So basically what happens is every single card, the actual card is on this side, and then the lesson, I write out the lesson of what the
I see. So in other words, then the book is kind of like, it's like a handbook for being able to understand the deck of cards on a deeper level.
Exactly.
I
And the
get
thing for me is that's my interpretation. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean you agree with it. It's just my interpretation of whatever the quote is or the story is.
sure.
But for me, being a mindfulness teacher is I'm not the teacher of you. I'm just giving you a key. However you choose to use the key, whichever door you choose to unlock with that key is up to you. So if you don't like my interpretation, that's perfectly fine, as long as it sheds light on how you can grow
Mhm.
in a certain area or over a certain circumstance. So that's why I'm saying it's just a guide. It's just a handbook. You do what you want with the lesson.
Right.
It's just a tweak. So that's really how the book came into being. And interestingly, the very first story of the book is when, I don't know if you recall, when we were in Thailand, but you would see these lotus flowers blooming in swampy areas, and you'd be on this like road of just mud and stone, and you'd look out the window and there's like a swamp next to you, but there were these lotus flowers like magnificently growing, coming up out of the mud.
I
And
remember.
that's actually how I chose the name Lotus Law. And really, it's sort of, I did Lotus Law because my practice was NKP law. So I kind of wanted that same umbrella, but really, it was all about the law of the lotus. And what is the law of the lotus? The law of the lotus says you need the muck, you need the mud, because that's what gives you your experiences. But
Yeah.
once you rise above, and we do rise above, we can experience, so in fact, I'll read there's the very first lesson in the book is called Life as a Lotus, and it's from a quote by Ajahn Chah. And the quote that Ajahn Chah says is, we can see the mind as a lotus. Some lotuses are still stuck in the mud. Some have climbed above the mud, but are still underwater. Some have reached the surface, while others are open in the sun, stain free. Which lotus do you choose to be? If you find yourself below the surface, watch out for the bites of the fishes and turtles. So
Mm.
that was the quote from Ajahn Chah. And then so the lesson that I'll just read it to you. And we can talk about it more, but this is the lesson in the actual book. It says, this is what I wrote. Along the pitted roads out in the Chonburi Province forest region, you will very often see lotus flowers rising out of the muddy water. Some are in full bloom, others still waiting to bud, some covered in mud, and others as clean and as vibrant as ever. The lotus flower represents life as we know it. In order for it to grow, it needs a dark and muddy environment. As humans, our environment is also essential for our personal and spiritual growth. We all have free will. We can choose to live in the darkness, the mud and the mire, and simply exist, drinking in the toxins of life. Or we can gain courage and strength and learn to rise above. We have this one life, whatever it may look like. It's rich with lessons and learning and transformation. Without mud, there is no lotus. Without struggle, there is no transformation. That is the law of the lotus. And that was why I called my practice Lotus Law. But for me, the lotus flower just symbolizes life as we know it.
I love it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Now, when somebody buys the book, do they buy the deck of cards together with the book?
That's a very good question. So I've got a website. So this is the book that is sold on Amazon and at the bookstore at Indigo. But my original one was just this. So it was a little coiled book. This is what I printed for my students. And together, if you go to my website, you can buy them together. But the cards I can't sell on Amazon because you need an ISBN number or you need a product number. So if anybody wants the cards, they have to come to me directly.
Okay.
The books are sold on Amazon. So this book you could get on Amazon. But if
Wonderful.
anybody wanted sort of the combo, they would have to come to me directly for the combo.
Yeah, it's a fantastic learning tool. Really, really fantastic. Yeah. I
It
think that
really
something
is.
like that might also be helpful for many of my clients.
I've had I just got goosebumps or shivers when you said that. A few of my people who've bought the book are social workers,
Mhm.
and they use them with their clients,
Yeah.
and they've
Exactly.
said it's just such a great tool because it also becomes a talking point.
Now, did you quote some of the different monks that we met in Thailand?
No, Ajahn Chai's quoted quite a bit in here. Promote might be in here once or twice, but it's really books that I read. So if I was reading a book and there was a line in the book that really struck a chord with me, I'd write that note out. And as crazy as it sounds, I don't know if you've heard of Ajahn Brahm. He's like a rogue monk, but he's got a sense of humor. He's really funny. And there's a lot of his quotes in there because I find him hilarious, but he's just got some really good quotes and stories. So I quote him quite a bit, but I'm in there. There's some things that I've said that I think, oh, that's pretty good, Nicolle. Put that one in there.
Well,
So
listen, you've spent a lot of time studying. You've been to Thailand, was it once or more than once?
just once. Yeah.
Once, the time that we went together.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
what about all of the women that were studying with us in Thailand? Have they also been able to hear about your book and the cards?
Yes. So I had a book launch at beginning of February, I think it was. Oh no, I think it was in January. Who knows? Time is not important in my life anymore. At
Right.
January, and a lot of the ladies came and supported me, which was just
Fantastic.
absolutely wonderful to see them.
Beautiful. So in addition to this really beautiful book and deck of cards, tell us what else has been going on in your life with the amazing retreats that you run.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So what happened as well is I decided in 2021 that I didn't want to practice law anymore, because it wasn't bringing me joy. And it was a very sort of spiritual experience that happened to me when I made that decision. But I remember it was March 2021, and something happened, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to be a lawyer anymore. And I said to myself, by the end of the year, December 2021, I will no longer be a lawyer. And I did that. And so January 1st, 2022, I was now a non-practicing lawyer. And then last year, I actually surrendered my license to say, I'm giving it back to the Law Society.
Wow.
I don't want it anymore. So
Big
I'm not
step.
even a lawyer. I don't have a license to practice anymore. And that notice from the Law Society saying, because you have to apply, you can't just say, here's my license. You have to make an application to the Law Society, and they decide whether they'll accept your surrender or not. So I do retreats on safari, and I happened to be on safari. It was October 2023. And it was the very first day. We were on our very first game drive, and I'm going to talk about the retreat, but we were on our very first game drive. And I took my phone with me, not because I wanted emails, but that's like all of us, that's our camera.
Sure.
So we on this game drive, safari drive, and I hear my ping, and there's an email come in, and part of me is going, do I look at the email? Should I look at it? And obviously curiosity got the better of me. And there was an email from the Law Society, just said, we've accepted your application to surrender your license. As of today, you are no longer going to be allowed to practice law. An order will be made with the Supreme Court or whatever of wherever, and your license has been surrendered. And I had been wondering before then, how would I feel when this email came? And like, that's a whole big chapter of my life that I've now closed the door on.
Right.
Like, I don't know anything else. I've been a lawyer since I was, that's all I've done. But Susan, I cannot tell you the sense of freedom that I felt. It was like this huge release. And I realized I had and I only speak for myself, but I felt like I had been in an abusive relationship with the legal system and with the law, the practicing law. And it was such a huge release that I really felt I could now truly be and show up who I want to be and how I want to be. And who I want to be and how I want to show up is all about kindness and compassion.
Yeah.
I really see myself now as a kindness ambassador. And I say this all the time. I believe in a world where kindness and compassion are greater than fear and hatred. And that's the world that I want to live in. And so I have to show up.
That's right. You've transitioned into a new chapter in your life.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very exciting and a very beautiful chapter it's going to be.
It is. So back to your original question, I'm like a sparrow, right? I just get
That's okay. That's good.
So so back to your question. So what I've been doing, what I was doing, but what I'm now doing full time is emotional intelligence workshops. I'm very, very I advocate a lot for trauma, not just trauma in being trauma informed, but being a trauma aware and trauma responsive. So I'm a huge advocate for bringing trauma awareness and responsiveness into the family law system. So I assist with trauma training. Obviously, I do mindfulness, but I'm really big in Ubuntu, which is a South African term, and Ubuntu means humanity. And I am because you are. Like, I cannot be happy if you are not happy. So we are all in this together. So it's really about kindness and empathetic leadership. So bringing kindness into leadership in corporate and organizations. That's really what I do now, and then part of that is taking people, professionals on safari so that they can start connecting with themselves. So connection with nature, connecting to themselves, connecting to their body, connecting to their wisdom, connecting to their spiritual being, and just connecting with kindness. So I've been doing these retreats. It's our third year this year, and we've got another one happening in October. So
And I would love to go on one of these safari retreats. They sound absolutely divine.
they really are. I mean, I don't know if we've got time. I have it's a 2.5 minute video which shows the retreat. I'm happy to show it now, or if people are interested, I can share it with them. But there is something about being in the wild, in nature, where you just see the animals and the earth talk to each other. There's this beautiful synergy that happens between them. And when you're on safari, somehow you get connected with that synergy, and you just become one. And we realize, like one of the women who came on, Genevieve, she said, I know people spoke about stillness. She said, but I didn't ever believe that I could actually experience it. And that's what we do. It's just having this stillness, and not just the out. Yes, it's beautiful and still, but just having the stillness inside. And even if it's only for a moment, just knowing that it's there and that you taste it.
Would you be able to do it on your share screen here in the Zoom meeting?
Yeah.
It'd be lovely to see the video.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to. Let me just quickly, where is it? Over there? Okay. And I can share the screen over there. Let me know when you can see. You got it.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll start it now. Picture yourself in a place of love. White light runs into your soul, your soul. Time is for change, the darkness behind. Let's make this our time, it's our work. There is no use in crying, no time for fighting. We can share the love that we have, Healing has begun So that's
Wow.
the, and that all of those are taken from the previous retreats. So we're sort of getting montages of every year we do it. We're getting the montages of the retreats. So yeah.
Incredible. And the next one, what are the dates for the next one?
So the next one, it starts on September 30th until October 6th, but we book-ended for everybody. So the actual retreat on safari is the 30th of September, but we have everybody staying in a hotel. We book everybody into a hotel the night before and the night after so that you can just get over your jet lag. And we don't arrange your flights, but we help you out with flights. And we arrange for your shuttles, so how you get to the hotels, and the second your feet are off that airplane, we've got you covered.
And where do you fly into?
So you fly into Johannesburg International. It's called OR Tambo. That's the but what we do is, like, once people we here to answer questions, and we then have lots of Zoom meetings so that we get everybody, we give lists. We tell you where you, if depending what flight you're going, what you have to do, but it is to Johannesburg, so that is the airport that everyone has to come to.
Excellent.
And we try ask them to come a day before.
It sounds like a wonderful trip, really a wonderful trip. So if anybody watching this video would like to contact you and get onto your website and order your book and order your cards or sign up for the workshop that you run, you're running a workshop on June 9th in Toronto.
We are doing, yes, we are doing the Transition, Transform, Transcend retreat. So it's a day retreat in Toronto. And again, it's just all about connecting. We've got breath work, we've got intuitive painting, we've got intuitive dancing, we've got mindfulness exercises. It's really beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful day as well.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited that it's going to be in my building. And I'm very excited that I'm going to be able to attend.
Of course, you're our guest with absolute pleasure.
It's wonderful. So if anybody wants to reach you, contact you, what's your website? What's your contact information?
So the best, I'm actually busy doing a whole new website, which should be launched in hopefully the next week or so. But in the meantime, my current website is www.lotus-law.com. So lotuslaw.com. And if anybody wants to reach out to me via email for anything, or if they're interested or they want a conversation, my current email address is 888nkp@gmail.com.
Fantastic. And as always, as I do with all of the speakers for the Healing Cooperative, I will be posting this recording onto the Healing Cooperative YouTube channel. And also, if there's anything that you would like to post about upcoming workshops or upcoming retreats, feel free to post onto the Healing Cooperative group page on Facebook.
Oh, thank you.
Free advertising, and anybody who is a member of the Healing Cooperative group is interested in holistic healing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity and for just how you show up and what you do for people. It's you've got such a crazy busy life, and yet you carve out time to bring all of these modalities to people. And it's beautiful.
It's my pleasure, and it's really a service to me because I love to learn about different modalities of holistic healing. And I love to learn about different retreats and workshops that are going on. And over the years that I've been interviewing speakers offering different modalities of holistic healing, I've incorporated many of them into my own practice. So it's really a pleasure. So thank you so much to Nicolle Kopping-Pavars. And thank you for letting us know about your wonderful new book, Insights for Everyday Mindfulness. And I look forward to getting a copy of your book and the cards. And I'm
Well,
excited to attend the workshop in Toronto on June 9th. And I'm also hoping to attend an upcoming retreat to Africa.
woohoo! Susan, thank you so much. And it was just a joy just to see your face and to be with you, sharing this time together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. And I'm going to be ending our recording now. See you all next time.